Welcome, welcome to our friends online. We're glad you're with us this morning. It was such a beautiful day it's still a beautiful day, but the sun was shining. It's still a really beautiful day, but the sun, I think we're going to get sun breaks today. So I invite you to join me in our morning blessing. As we gather this morning, may we open our hearts to hope. May we remember that even in uncertain times, light is still present, love is still moving, and that new possibilities are always waiting to emerge. Knowing the message that Reverend Jerry shares this morning will renew our spirits and steady our hearts. May we be reminded that hope lives within each of us and that we are bearers of hope for one another. And so it is. Amen. And I'd like to invite Reverend Jerry up to the podium.
Thank you, Reverend Jen. Good morning again, everybody. Good morning. And good morning to our friends online. We're really, really glad that you're here with us today. Today is Sunday, May 17th, the day that it's recorded anyway. It might not be the day that you see us. So as many of you may know, our executive minister, Reverend Madge, is out of town doing some beautiful work of service in the community. And you know what they say, when the cat's away, the mice will play, right? Now, I want you to know I'm not suggesting that I'm the mouse in this situation. But I am just saying, I looked around this morning and noticed there's a little bit less adult supervision in the room. Hi, Madge. So, since the cat's away, I thought maybe today would be a good day to stretch my boundaries a little bit and talk about a couple of four-letter words that have been coming to my mind lately. One of them starts with F, and the other one starts with H. And now, before anybody gets nervous, right, don't shout things out, no guessing, because we might have to change the live stream or censor it, right? But I don't want to be the reason that we have to edit the live stream. So in all seriousness, though, with the world the way that it is right now, with the news cycles and the uncertainties, and certainly with the unfamiliar emotional weather that many of us are walking through today, these two four-letter words keep popping up for me. The first one is fear. The second is hope. And we all know fear pretty well. Fear is not hard to find. Fear has its own agencies, its own media room, its own marketing department, right? Notifications and breaking news banners. It's got its own late night shows, and it has a way of popping up right before we go to bed. But we all know fear really well. Fear's had enough airtime already. We don't need to spend much time talking about fear today. But I did want to give it a little bit of shape, because I think that fear and hope have something interesting in common. They both reach into the future. Fear looks at the future, what has not yet happened, and it says, ooh, something bad's probably coming, right? Kind of, you might even feel like anxiety. Where hope, in contrast, looks at what hasn't happened yet and says, something good may still be possible. Fear closes doors early on, and hope leaves the lights on. Fear tells us to protect ourselves, not to expect too much. Don't be disappointed again, right? And hope opens things up. Hope tells us, stay open, stay available. Maybe the story's not finished yet. And so hope is what I want to talk about today. I think the world needs a lot more hope right now. And I also think that hope has been misunderstood. I think sometimes we treat it like it's that last little scrap, that last little vestige that we cling to when everything else has failed. And at that time, we say things like, well, I guess all we can do now is hope. As though hope is a consolation prize, right? Or it's just for losers. Well, I think hope is a heck of a lot stronger than that. Hope isn't desperation, and it's not denial. It's definitely not pretending that everything is okay. And neither is hope weakness dressed up in frilly language. I personally think that when hope is held correctly, it becomes a strong spiritual posture. Now, I believe that hope is the ability to hold a vision for what could become while keeping our hearts open enough to allow God and life and spirit and the universe to bring forward something even perhaps greater than what we imagined. So today, I want to give hope a reboot. I want to reboot hope. Not the flimsy hope, not the fingers crossed, gosh, I hope things work out kind of a hope, right? Real hope, mature hope, courageous hope. The kind of hope that doesn't grip or beg. This hope says, I don't know exactly how things will unfold, but I refuse to close the door on what could still become good. So this is the hope I want to talk about today. And before we do that directly, I think it helps to notice that hope is part of a family of other inner strengths. We sometimes use these words as if they all mean the same thing: optimism, trust, faith, and hope. They're all related, but I don't think they're the same. And like my friend Chen Li states in some of his podcasts, and I'm loosely quoting some of his work here in this message, optimism, trust, hope, and faith are like strands of the same cord. And when life gets heavy, we need each one of those strands to support us. So the first of those strands is optimism. And here again, I'm not talking about naive optimism. I'm not talking about optimism that's hiding in the corner going, oh, everything's going to be fine, right? That's naive optimism. Naive optimism looks away from difficulty. But mature optimism, what I might call clear-eyed optimism, looks directly ahead and still chooses to move forward toward the good. It sees the challenge, it sees the fatigue, it recognizes that there are no guarantees, and still it says there's something good here worth doing, and that's powerful. Healers, ministers, caregivers might be doing what's right, not because the results are guaranteed, but because the gesture itself, the action, is worthy. That, I think, is optimism in its deeper form. That's optimism in action. Not assuming everything that will work out exactly how we want, or not pretending life will be easy, but choosing to serve the good anyway. This kind of optimism gets us moving. But then there are days when optimism alone isn't quite enough. There are those days that punch us right in the optimism and snuff it out. I recently had one of those days. I'm looking for my next partnership with an employer, as some of you might know. And I recently interviewed pretty well, I think, with a great company. And I've been optimistic about going to work with them. Well, I recently followed up with them and I checked in with the hiring team. And they said there's been a massive change in the organization and that they've frozen hiring. That punched me right in the optimism. It really did. And on days like that, though, strength can arise from different places. And for me, that strength is trust. Some might call it faith, and they're pretty closely related. But for this morning, I just want to use the notion of trust in a very specific way. Trust is what remembers that goodness has found hidden paths before, right? And unlike optimism, trust doesn't look forward. Optimism is looking forward. Trust looks back. Trust says, I've seen something planted in one place pop up somewhere else, right? I've seen spirit move through hidden paths. Trust is what allows us to say, I don't know what it's going to bring, and I don't know what tomorrow is going to look like, but I've lived long enough to know that something good might still pop up. And that, in my opinion, is trust in its lived form. And that trust is what develops faith. And so optimism looks forward and it says there's still good worth doing, right? Trust looks backward and says I've seen goodness come from unexpected places at unexpected times. And keeping the thread here alive for my own example through this conversation, I trust there's still opportunity for me to work with this company that I'm so excited about. I'm not going to give up. And then sometimes there are moments yet further along. Some of us know these moments where even optimism and trust feel hard to reach. When our future seems uncertain or bleak. And maybe past experiences that we've had feel shaky or not strong enough to comfort us. Perhaps the difficulty in front of us can feel bigger than the evidence behind us or even the measure of our faith. And this, I think, is where hope really begins to flex, where it really starts to show its power. So now, if we're going to give hope a proper reboot, let's take a quick look at what hope is not. It's not denial, it's not passive waiting, and it's not pretending. Hope is not control dressed up in spiritual language, and hope does tell the truth. Hope doesn't look at a hard situation and say, this is not hard. Hope doesn't look at grief and say, this doesn't hurt. Hope doesn't look at uncertainty and say, I'm fine. That's not hope, that's performance, right? And finally, hope is not sitting on the couch saying something like, well, if universe wants me to have a better life, it knows where to find me. That's not hope, right? That's spiritual procrastination in a robe and bunny slippers. So, some folks might call hope even wishful thinking, what my Harry Potter friends might call a muggle view of hope, right? But this kind of hope is not what I mean today. Real hope can say, man, this is difficult, or I don't know how this is going to work out. It can say, man, I'm tired. But real hope adds another sentence. I'm tired, and still I will not close the door on what good may come. Hope keeps us available for the next right action. So no, hope isn't weakness. And in fact, hope may actually be one of the most disciplined forms of strength that we can tap. So on to what hope is, or at least what it is for me. If hope's not denial, not wishful thinking, not passive waiting, and not attachment to specific outcomes, well, what is it then? I would say this. Hope is the disciplined openness of the soul. Hope is one of the bridges to co-creation. Hope is that part of us that says, I can't see the whole path, but I'm willing to keep walking. I have a vision, a longing. I have a prayer in my heart, but I'm willing to let the divine be wiser than my imagination. And I think in our prayers, many of us in this room add hope in the form of all of this or more. So hope softens the heart. It gives the future room to breathe. Because when we hold hope correctly, we're not just wishing for something, we're creating an inner environment where possibility can remain alive, a quantum field of possibilities that's ripe and waiting. We're keeping the heart from hardening. When we hold hope, we refuse to let fear become the architect of our future. We refuse to let disappointment become our identity, and we refuse to let one painful chapter in our lives convince us that the whole book has already been written. Hope doesn't require certainty, and in fact, hope may only be necessary when we're uncertain. Hope lives where something hasn't yet taken form. And for those of us who speak in the language of manifestation and energy, of prayer and co-creation, this matters. Because many of the most beautiful things begin as invisible forces. A healing begins before the evidence of the healing is clear. A calling begins before the path arrives. And relationships begin before trust is fully proven. So hope is one of the ways that we can honor the invisible before it becomes visible. Hope is one of the ways that we can say to the universe, to God, I'm available for the good that I can imagine, and I'm also available for the good I cannot yet imagine. It doesn't come with enthusiasm generally, and hope rarely comes with proof. So by its nature, there's no guarantee. And somehow we easily accept that. Hope is the small light that remains on inside the soul where the rest of the room has gone dark. And sometimes that little light is enough to keep our heart from hardening. And it's just enough to keep us available for the next right thing. So now some of us might be thinking, well, okay, Jerry, so where does faith fit into all of this? And I would say, well, faith is the larger ground. That's a whole additional conversation. It's a whole nother lifetime of conversations. But faith is generally the deeper knowing that whatever it is that unfolds, we're still held by God, by spirit, by light, that all things are as they should be. But I see hope as the bridge that gets us there. And so when optimism is low, when the shadow of darkness is too deep for us to trust in our own light, and when things seem tough or we're too tired to carry on, the whisper of hope is our bridge to God. And I believe that hope in many ways is the vibration that actually carries our prayers into the universe. And hope, by the way, is a good way to look at the quantum field of infinite possibility. Let's keep that in mind. And so for me, the story of hope that comes to the surface most is still unresolved. And I'm sure many of you here in the room and at home can understand that when family members or close friends or relationships are challenged, when there's strain between close people, when optimism has failed, and when trust is broken, the strength of hope really becomes clear. Because sometimes it's all we have to hold on to. I myself, I've had a strained relationship with my oldest son since he was 13 or 14 years old. And I don't think this is a foreign story to many. For reasons that I'll leave unspoken, I sent him to live with his mother when he was 15. And all along the way, every day, I've regretted that decision. He's 34 years old now. And since then, since 15, he's lived with me as an adult several times. Now, all along the way in our adult relationship, there was a third party involved, alcohol. Unfortunately, that third party is not welcome in my home anymore, but it was there. And so every time that he lived with me, we separated in bad blood. Every time we lived together, there was healing and joy, followed by old hurt and old injuries. Every single time we found the optimism falling a little too short and the experience of trust being broken. The last time that we lived together, I was sober. I was ready for my next steps in life, and he was not. Again, agreements were broken, trust was broken, and nearly unforgivable things were said between us. I reached out to him after my heart attack and my surgery, thinking that there'd be space. And he said to me something so painful, I won't repeat the words here, but it carried the weight of wishing I wasn't. And I know that he was very, very hurt. And I understand this because I carried a load of grief and anger toward my own biological father most of my life because he'd walked out on my family when I was 6 years old. So I know what it's like to carry this anger and this burden. And I don't know if I'll ever have the relationship with my son that I would like to have. And I'm optimistic. I'm optimistic that things will turn around for him so that he finds joy and freedom in his heart. I'm trusting that time will soften. This is me looking back. Time softens wounds, right? I trust that time will soften the hardness that he's put up to protect himself from his perceived harm. And I hope, here's the 4-letter H word, I hope that he finds forgiveness in his heart. I hope that he finds peace in his spirit. Whew. And I hope more than anything to hold him in the embrace of love and forgiveness here on this earth plane before one of us dies. I could hide behind anger and injury, right? And just write him off, but that's not the way of grace. Excuse me. So, I would like to encourage everyone here really to look at hope. Really to look at hope in a refreshed light, something new, considering optimism and trust and faith as a part of the package. I'd like to invite you all to redefine hope in your life as a verb, an action. And we bring hope forward through small, faithful actions every day that keep us aligned with the possible good. And I invite you guys today and the rest of the week to be hopeful again and to keep that pilot light on of hope in your lives. Look for things that need some hope and sprinkle it on. Share it, spread it around. Because hope listens to wisdom, but it does not bow to fear. So in everyday life, hope may sound simple. It might sound like I'm willing to leave room for good. It might sound like I'm willing to take the next right step. It might say I'm willing to hold the essence and release the form. It might say, I hope there's room for love. So this week, don't wait to feel hopeful before you practice hope. Practice hope and let the feeling catch up. Leave room for the good. Take the next right step. Hold the essence, release the form. Keep the pilot light on. Because fear may close the door early, but hope leaves the light on. And sometimes, beloveds, that little light is enough. Thank you. I'd like to invite Reverend Jen back up. Oh, shoot. Yes. I left the bowls in the car.
Okay, why don't you chat?
So, so I have a fun meditation this morning to share. It's very simple, and it's actually the meditation that got me started writing this talk. I was having a little bit of difficulty bringing it together. I knew that I wanted to talk about something on the lighter side of things and not the heavy aspects of war and politics and all that. We need something hopeful to wrap our arms around. And so to motivate me, I gave myself a little sound bath. And I was working with a pair of solar plexus chakra bowls that I enjoy. And Jen is bringing them in now. And so the solar plexus is the force of movement in our life, right? It's that bright, sunny, yellow energy, that force of movement. And what I'd like to do is just bring that forward in a brief meditation. Thank you very much, Reverend Jen.
I'm always with the band. I'm the roadie.
Thank you very much. This is what happens when you hope you get to church on time. Okay. Thank you all very much. So let's just take a moment, take a deep breath, and let our shoulders drop and our jaws relax a little bit. And move into that reflective space. That place where optimism, trust, and faith, and hope all support our dreams, the outcomes that we wish, and the freedom of life for every human being. Spirit, we recognize the disruptions in the world, and today we hold a hope for alignment and peace. Creator, we have knowledge of and believe in the greater good. We hold hope in knowing it will always prevail. In this day, we hold hope for peace in the hearts and the minds of men and women throughout the world. That they find shelter, peace, and humanity. And gratitude and trust. And say, so it is. As the sound fades, let's each visit our own hopes, our own desires, where we can release control and allow the universe to bring it forward. And wiggle fingers and toes and come back into our space here. Join us back in the room. We'll move into the offerings portion of the service this morning.
Please be careful.
Please be careful. So as we prepare our offerings to the home center today, let's hold it in our hands and charge it up with the energy of alignment, of generosity, and sacred intention, knowing that we're a part of the greater circulation of good, and that our gifts will multiply for the highest healing, growth, and service to us and our community. As the basket is coming around, please fill it with your blessings, and we thank you for your generosity and for continuing our support of good works. I invite Reverend Jenna for announcements. Actually, I have a short story to tell, don't I? Do I? No, I don't. Come on up, Reverend Jenna. Come on. Oh, and we'll close the service today. No, we won't. I'm just going to hand it over to someone who knows what they're doing. Wow.
We'll just say this is the culprit, which is the newest member of our family. It's beautiful. Beautiful. All right. So I can't find my prayer. Did you pick it up, maybe? No.
I don't think so. Yes, I did. Sure
That's
did.
all right.
It's great.
Thanks. Awesome. So I wanted to share a poem. Well, basket's hard, but I'm going to share a poem. And it's by Saint Teresa of Avila. And with just a little bit edit. Just a little edit. So Saint Teresa was a 16th century Spanish Carmelite nun, a mystic, a reformer, and the first female doctor of the church. So this poem is, May today there be peace within. May today there be peace within. May you trust that you are exactly where you are meant to be. May you not forget the infinite possibilities that are born of faith. May you use those gifts that you have received and pass on the love that that has been given to you. May you be content knowing you are a spark of the divine. Let this presence settle into your bones and allow your soul the freedom to sing, dance, praise, and love. It is there for each and every one of us. Isn't that beautiful? So I invite you to join me in our closing prayer. As we leave this space, carrying hope gently with us, may it guide our thoughts, soften our fears, and strengthen our trust in what is still becoming. Trusting that even what feels like small acts of faith or kindness and love can truly transform the world around us. May hope rise in us, move through us, and continue to illuminate the path in front of us. And so we go forward in peace, in faith, and in hope. Amen. Amen. And thank you to our friends online for joining us. Until next time, be well.